Hello, welcome to Soulprint Intuitive Tarot. Thank you very, very much for being here. So, it's been a while since I've taken a look at Special Counsel Jack Smith and just kind of see what's going on. There's been a lot of stuff that has happened. So you've got, the extreme Supreme Court basically saying, yeah, presidents have immunity of pretty much everything. Um, he has Eileen Cannon has dismissed the Mar-a-Lago documents case, and so that's being appealed. And so there's a lot of things that just sort of moving parts. Perhaps you may or may not have heard during a conversation with Elon Musk. Trump was well, two things. One, Trump was talking about going to Venezuela, which I just don't even, right? I mean, he can't leave the country. But then and it's a long story. Maybe I'll look at it, but at this point, I can promise you, Trump ain't going nowhere until the results of the election are in. Now, once that happens, kind of all bets are off. Um, but during that conversation with Musk, they were talking about non-unions, right? And Trump is like, I really liked how you handled it. They wanted to form a union and you just said, fine, you're fired and get out of here. Well, the United Autos Worker Association heard that and they have now filed suit against both Trump and Musk. Um, and I'm not sure why. Like, I can't remember what the charge is, but they're going after them. Because basically what they were saying is it is their, union should just be broken, in fact, shattered. So, I don't know. I guess we'll kind of see what happens there. But I thought that was interesting. It's like, it's like honestly, like Trump doesn't have enough legal problems, right? So let's just add a few more to the plate. All right, let's take a look at Jack Smith and see how he's doing. I am going to do this by cards, and then of course I'll float around and see what else I can find out. Here we go. Um, Jack Smith trajectory, Jack Smith trajectory, Jack Smith trajectory. Okay, let's just start it. So we're starting off with the Six of Swords, right? So he is continuing to work very diligently and very calmly at moving the cases into calmer waters, right? I mean, it's almost a foregone conclusion that the documents case is going to be, the appeal is going to be reversed. And I, at that point, honestly would not be surprised if Cannon is removed from the case. So that one's going to, proceed, albeit after the election. And like I've said before, I'm okay with these things not happening until after the election, because after the election, Trump has no more clout, no more power. He will literally be a what, three times loser, four times loser, whatever it is. And his creds are going to go, down the drain. And so courtesies that perhaps may have been extended to him while he was a potential presidential, running person, um, those are gone now. So I think it's going to be much harder for him to wiggle out and wiggle around. Now, meanwhile, he has the ruling coming out from Marchand, and that is it's September 18th, I think. And of course, we're waiting for, he asked for an extension in the checking case, and has been extended to the end of September. So the two cases that he's busy with, right, is the documents case that Canon trying to um, divert, and this J6 case, which has now been returned to Chutkan's court. So, but what he is doing is it's a very calm, very methodical, step by step process that he's moving through. And it is his intention to basically keep that boat steady and to keep it moving forward. All right. This is the thing. You know what? He can't worry about what may or may not happen if Trump wins the presidency, because it's not may or may not. What will happen is Trump is going to get rid of every single legal issue that surrounds him, right? So he has to function and carry on as if that is not a potential. And I mean, most of us know that's not a potential. I don't know that Trump is clued into that. But so he is very, very focused on what's the next step, what's the next step. His strength is that he has such a fund of knowledge, and he has amazingly competent people that are working with him, that are part of his team. And so it's not that he has um, some knowledge, right? It's one of those situations where when you put it all together, my God, all the lawyers together may have, I don't know, 200 or 300, years of experience in their various sort of areas and fields. And so what you're looking at here is just a power source, a forceful source moving forward, but again, in a very, very methodical way. He's about had it with eh, Trump and Trump's lawyers and the shenanigans they're pulling. He would like already for this thing to just get going. But listen, he's not foolish. He understands that this is part of a juggling act that he's in the middle of. He knew what he was taking on, or had a pretty clear indicator of what he was taking on when he took on the challenge. But he is not it's like he just doesn't get detoured. It's like he doesn't get distracted. It doesn't matter what the courts throw at him. He's just kind of like, oh, okay, I can't look there right now. I'll look this way. Can't look there. I'll look this way. It's like literally, um, he's just forever sort of shifting and changing what he's looking at and how he's going to go forward with it. Now, listen up. Jack has a ton of secrets still. There is stuff that he has that um, Trump and his lawyers don't know about. And I'm not actually talking so much about like documents or evidence. I'm talking more about skill, savvy, ability. He hasn't shown his chops yet. So he's got a lot that is still in reserve. I guess that is how I want to say it. In his own way, he really is okay with the delays. He would have been much happier had everything moved very, very quickly, and he could have had the stuff wrapped up, but that's not how it worked out. And so he is making the very most of those delays and, working through all of the details, the contingency plans, all of that. If he was sort of just like a regular lawyer, right? And a case that he was working on was delayed, right? It's not that the lawyer would then focus on that case for the however long the delay is. The lawyer moves on to the next case and the next case, and they're juggling cases. He's not. He is completely focused on the 2 cases that he is focused on, and both of them, and I think I've spoken about this before, is he is insulted to the marrow of his bones with the 2 cases that he's working on. One is literally, you know, giving or selling secrets to the enemy. Why? And the other one is doing everything he can to create an environment that's going to totally disrupt the peaceful transfer of power. I mean, he was staging a coup. So these are things that um, really stick in Jack's craw. Now, this is the thing. You know what? The Supreme Court was pretty sure that they were going to level some sort of a um, announcement, protections that protected Trump. That was going to take away his anxiety and it was going to make everything better. But the reality is that they thought they boxed him in. And in fact, much like the title Jack in the Box, right? What happens with Jack in the Boxes? It's in a box, you think it's contained, and what happened? It pops out, right? That sort of, how you can look at what's happening or going to be happening in those cases and with him leading them. He has so much stuff like up his sleeve, right? And again, it's not so much, there's nothing that he is doing, for example, that is like hiding evidence or anything like that. I mean, he is so above board and like such a straight arrow. But that also doesn't mean that he feels that when it comes to strategies or ways of doing things or approaching something, that he feels he has to advertise it, because of course he doesn't. And more, he's understanding that he actually has a lot of paths opened going forward, because Trump's lawyers are so tied up by Trump. He won't let them do this. He won't let them say that. There was at the end of last week, um, his lawyers again filed the third whatever notice, um, demanding Marshawn's recusal, to which he said denied. But why do they keep kicking that same can? Well, obviously, you have to think that they're smart enough to know it ain't going to work. But obviously, that's what Trump wants them to do. And so that's what he's doing. And so Jack Smith is looking at this and he is saying, you don't have almost like the freedom to practice good law. You are stuck with a client who believes that he knows better than anybody about everything, and he's not letting you maneuver. And so that's putting you in a place where you're not going to be able to accomplish a lot. Your harvest is going to be a little small, because what you did manage to do was delay stuff all over the place. Okay. They get credit for that. But so far, they haven't got any credit for winning anything. They didn't win E.G. Carroll. They didn't win the business one with Egron. They didn't win, Marshawn. They're not winning, but they continue to have to do what he wants them to do. Jack Smith is absolutely, absolutely convinced that he is going to get that judgment, because in his mind, this is literally an evil that needs to be squashed. Like I say, it's interesting when you go into his energy, because he truly um, is like indignant and insulted that somebody would do, particularly somebody who held that office, whether you liked him or didn't like him, that somebody who held that office would literally desecrate it by those behaviors. And it is just appalling to him. And he is not going to stop until he affects the the judgment and the rulings that he's looking for, or until he gets yanked off and everything gets shut down, which again is not going to happen. And the other thing I want to tell you is that um, under Harris, there is going to be a new um, U.S. Attorney General that comes into place. Okay. It's not going to be Jack Smith. He's got something else to do that's really, really important. It wouldn't surprise me if she goes with a woman. And I was thinking about this just a little bit earlier, and I was thinking, like there's Tish James and there's um, like there's a whole bunch of ones, female lawyers that sort of are more recent in our memory that you would think, oh, maybe they could do it. But who came across my mind was, what was her name? Like Nancy Yeager, or the one who, um, right after Trump took office, was trying to stand up red flags saying Mike Flynn is compromised and he needs to be removed. And because she was, I think, the assistant or deputy or something under whoever the previous um, attorney general was. But she popped into my mind. I have no idea what she is or isn't doing right now, but she would be kind of an interesting one to look at, just in my opinion. I'm Canadian. What do I know? So don't be fussing about that. Um, if you take nothing else away from her selecting Kim Walls as her running mate, you can appreciate that when she makes choices and decisions, they're very well thought out and they're crystal clear. And so she is going to put around her a team that is going to function in the way that she believes they should. And certainly for the Department of Justice, that means that they are hands off. And there just needs to be that sense of trusting that the Attorney General and all the people working there are going to do the right thing. So let's just put that aside for right now, okay? And let's understand that with Smith, they tried ever so hard to box him. I mean, I think that's what you kind of want to remember the most, right? Is the Supreme Court was sort of convinced that they were going to be able to build enough guardrails around Trump that everybody would just sort of go like, this isn't worth pursuing and back away. And that didn't happen. And it's not going to happen. And in the not too distant future, you're going to have other people other justices in the Supreme Court. And so that power dynamic is going to shift also. All right. So that's what I know. I think that those cases remain in good, competent hands. I think that the results that the bulk of the American people are looking for will be achieved. And for right now, I guess we have to practice a little bit of what Jack Smith practices, which is you keep your eye on the ball, but you don't allow it to so overwhelm you that you get twisted up and you can no longer see your path clearly. Okay. All right. Don't forget to put any questions you have in the comment section below. And I thank you so much for being here. And I look forward to seeing you next time. You take good care now. Bye bye.